Hello, this is a short share on the power of creativity in your personal development and also in the process of unfolding the potential and thus healing one's capacities. In the last couple of days, I have started recognizing that just acting in contexts which are permissionless and where the hierarchy is not predefined allows a sort of emergent hierarchy to arise, or more of a dynamic leadership to emerge. And this is extremely, extremely powerful in terms of both developing a sense of agency in the being and opening up the potential, which is otherwise untapped or often even suppressed in the systems that we are operating in. At the same time, just the creative act of expression, even when it's not being incentivized externally, has its own intrinsic reward, just like one creating a form of art or maybe the video is a reward in itself, and it somehow unblocks the overall creative channel and opens up agency and the flow of energies, which then sustain and become eventually self-reinforcing, expanding further and further the dimensions of agency in one's being and one's environment. And now taking that and essentially reversing it, which is what we do in a society where, as schools and the teachers in the school would prevent kids from actually trying a lot of things and constantly cut their agency down, and then this is repeated in say a workplace where people are only allowed to do certain things based on their roles and authorities, or worse, one person gets to do all the strategy who is at the top, and then everyone else is just forced to execute on it. So while this might be very interesting and scalable for the person at the top, this can over time start to erode the capacities of the individuals who are executing, and over time they become disconnected from their own sensibility of the dynamic environment. And then this can carry forward in the other dimensions of life, because not only are you disconnected from your own felt sense knowing in, say, an organizational or professional context, that starts to carry forward in your relationships and in your interactions with people and arts and hobbies, and one ends up in a sense of uh, potential confusion. And this is very interesting because a society is designed to then target the confused individual with advertising and provide solutions so then they can become consumers. So it's very interesting. So the creative process is the natural dissolution of the consumptive need. The more one begins to create, the less one needs to consume. And the more one begins to create, the more one's agency increases, and the less one is at the effect of the world and a victim. So it seems to me more and more that the creative process is not only healing and joyful, it is also empowering and creates a strange form of agency and self sufficiency. On the other hand, a blocked creative process is often directed into consumption, which becomes a negative spiral because the agency starts to get reduced further and further, and one finds the only way to release oneself of that energy is by consuming. So I think at every instant in the day, we have a choice. And in larger fractals of our life, we have a choice if we want to live from a creative standpoint or from a consumeristic standpoint. And the outcomes of these two are very different. And so one can often have a creative sensibility, and with limited material means, one may feel abundantly rich. Reminds me of some of the teachers I've worked with in the various meditative traditions, and one can be abundantly rich and yet be consuming all sorts of things and yet not feel fulfilled. And this is something I have also experienced by interacting and working with people in high finance and in tech. So I think it's very interesting to reflect on this dichotomy. And when the choice comes, I highly encourage the choice of creating over consuming. And with that said, I wish you the best in your creative journeys.